Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Shtotara Sata Shri Srimad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Shtotara Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Namesake Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Did I already say Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai? Samveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Falini Mataji, sorry, there's a problem. By mistake, I made the host and I'm not able to go live. So can you make me the host of the meeting? Then I can do that.
Let's see. Well, how do I do that?
So you take your cursor on my name. There'll be
I can figure out how to do that.
In the list of participants, if you go to my name, there'll be a drop down.
I see your name on the main screen. It's like really, really big, Shraddha.
No,
Is that the one I click on?
No, in the list of participants, if you go to the list of participants.
Okay.
And go to my name.
Shraddha, so just click on that.
Click on more. There'll be, if you take the cursor to my name, there'll be a more box.
It's not clicking. Okay.
And there should be an option, make host. Yeah, it worked. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one who makes Haribol. Okay, so now do I need to do anything else?
No, that's it.
So now that you're the host, you have to make me one of the participants.
Yeah, I'm making you a co-host.
Haribol, Lalita Gupta.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Mataji, Jai Shri Prabhupada. How are you?
Haribol Prachi. Haribol Arti. Haribol Vaishnav Shruti. Haribol Kishwani.
Ram Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Just unmute. Okay, are we ready? Okay, let's go ahead. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, today we're going to read this wonderful verse and purport to sum up our study of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. So we're in Canto 3, Chapter 23, Text 7. So everyone who has a Bhagavatam set can pull out the third canto, part 2, and find chapter 23, text 7. I'll read the Sanskrit and the word-for-word translations, and then I'll read the translation, and then the purport, and then we'll go over the translation and purport again. Yemen swadharma niratasya tapa samadhi vidyatma yoga vichita bhagavat prasada tan eva te madanusevannaya varudhan drishtim prapasya vitaramya bhayan ashokan. You can repeat, yea, those which may, by me, swadharma, own religious life, niratasya, fully occupied with, tapaha, in austerity, samadhi, in meditation, vidya, in Krishna consciousness, atma yoga, by fixing the mind, vijitaha, achieved, bhagavat prasada, the blessings of the Lord, tan, them, eva, even, te, by you, mat, to me, anusevanaya, by devoted service, avarudhan, obtained, drishtim, transcendental vision, prapasya, just see, vitarami, I am giving, abhayan, which are free from fear, ashokan, which are free from lamentation. Translation. Kardama Muni continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are. Please repeat. Kardama Muni continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord. Of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Devahuti engaged only in the service of Kardama Muni. She was not supposed to be so advanced in austerity, ecstasy, meditation, or Krishna consciousness, but imperceptibly, she was sharing her husband's achievements, which she could neither see nor experience. Automatically, she achieved these graces of the Lord. What are the graces of the Lord? It is stated here that the graces of the Lord are abhaya, free from fearfulness. In the material world, if someone accumulates $1 million, he is always full of fear because he's always thinking, what if the money is lost? But the benediction of the Lord, Bhagavat Prasad,
I think Mataji dropped out. We'll just wait for her. Can anyone tell me which SB verse we are reading? Sorry, I was trying to sort that going live, so I didn't hear the verse number.
Sorry, Mataji, I also
everyone.
don't
Sorry
remember.
for the difficulty. Okay, so let's continue. There is no question of loss. One simply gains and enjoys gaining. Bhagavad Gita also confirms this. When one achieves the grace of the Lord, the result is that sarva dukkani, all distresses are destroyed. When situated in the transcendental position, one is freed from the two kinds of material diseases, hankering and lamentation. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita. After devotional life begins, we can achieve the full results of love of Godhead. Love of Krishna is the highest perfection of Bhagavat Prasad, or divine mercy. This transcendental achievement is so greatly valuable that no material happiness can compare to it. Prabodhananda Saraswati said that if one achieves the grace of Lord Chaitanya, he becomes so great that he does not care a fig even for the demigods. He thinks of monism as hellish. And for him, the perfection of controlling the senses is as easy as anything. Heavenly pleasures become to him no more than stories. Actually, there is no comparison between material happiness and transcendental happiness. By the grace of Kardama Muni, Devahuti experienced actual realization simply by serving. We get a similar example in the life of Narada Muni. In his previous life, Narada was a maidservant's son. But his mother was engaged in the service of great devotees. He got the opportunity to serve the devotees, and simply by eating the remnants of their foodstuff and carrying out their orders, he became so elevated that in his next life, he became the great personality Narada. For spiritual achievement, the easiest path is to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and to serve him with heart and soul. That is the secret of success. As stated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasadaha. By serving or receiving the grace of the spiritual master, one receives the grace of the Supreme Lord. By serving her devotee husband, Kardama Muni, Devahuti shared in his achievements. Similarly, a sincere disciple, simply by serving a bona fide spiritual master, can achieve all the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master simultaneously. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Hangum Langayate Kirin Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Srila Prabhupada. Ma Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharani Nivasheshashani Vari Pasadistani Pancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Kardama Muni continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. It's interesting, in the word for word synonyms, the word vidya is defined as Krishna consciousness. So the absolute pinnacle of knowledge is to understand Krishna, to understand ourselves and our relationship with Krishna. So that's Krishna consciousness. And when we actually have love of God, then Srila Prabhupada told us that when someone asked him, Srila Prabhupada, do you know everything? He said, I know what Krishna wants me to know. So when we're pure devotees, we're purely Krishna conscious, then Krishna will tell us what we need to know to carry on our service to him, because that will be our full engagement. At every moment, we'll be fully engaged in Krishna's service. So naturally, Krishna will be ordering us, like Srila Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam. Krishna says, do this, now do this. So Krishna is waiting. He's wanting to talk to us, but he's waiting to see when we're actually ready. When we're 24 hours engaged in Krishna's service without any distraction, then Krishna will start to reveal himself and talk to us personally, face to face. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. And we just recently read that even if the husband is not a pure devotee, even when he's he's a non-devotee still. By the wife's serving him, she becomes purified and she pleases the Lord. So we should always continue our service to our husband, no matter what his position is. Now just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are. So of Krishna's blessings upon his wife, because his wife has been so faithfully engaged in his service. Purport: Devahuti engaged only in the service of Kardama Muni. That reminds me of that lady who's described in the Padma Purana. Her name was either Shubra or Shubha, and she was such a chaste lady that her husband always came first, no matter what happened. Always, he was her first priority. And one time, a beggar came to the door and he asked for something to eat or some alms. And she said, "You wait. I'm engaged in the service of my husband. As soon as I'm finished, I will come and tend to you." So he didn't like that, but he waited outside for that lady to return. And eventually she did. And by the time she came to the door, he was so angry that he was ready to burn her with his eyes. But she said to him, "I am not some crane that you can burn with your eyes," because just the day before, he had gotten so angry at a water bird, a crane, because it had passed stool on his gamcha that was drying after he had washed it. And he got so angry at that crane for passing on his gamcha that he burnt that bird with his eyes. So she said, "I am not a crane whom you can burn with your eyes." So he was so surprised. How can this lady know what happened yesterday? And then she said, "And I can tell you something else, that bad smell that's coming from your mouth is because you have abandoned your parents." So he had left his parents and gone off to become some, important brahmachari. He thought he was very important because he was so renounced, but actually he had committed an offense toward his elderly parents by leaving them helpless. So anyway, so that reminded me. How Devahuti engaged only in the service of Kardama Muni. So that reminded me of this lady, Shubra, from the Padma Purana. So she was not supposed to be so advanced in austerity, ecstasy, meditation, or Krishna consciousness, but imperceptibly she was sharing her husband's achievements, which she could neither see nor experience. She couldn't see or experience the imperceptible advancement that she was making until she was shown that by the mercy of her Pati Guru and the Lord. And isn't this interesting that Devahuti, who is the mother of God, was being described in the Srimad Bhagvatam as less advanced in austerity, ecstasy, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. And yet, she's the mother of God, of Kapila Muni. Well, I thought that was pretty interesting. That, and we see too, in many examples in the Shastra of Vedic ladies like Sati, she made a terrible mistake simply because, well, of course, because it was the Lord's arrangement for Leela, for the purpose of teaching lesson, but also she showed that even very advanced Vaishnavis like Sati herself can make a big life-threatening mistake. And Sita Devi, she made a mistake by, cursing Lakshman and practically forcing him to go look for Ram in the forest. So just see, she made such a mistake that she was kidnapped by a Rakshasa. Supposed to teach us lessons, that even in the higher realms of society, the ladies are less intelligent than the men. So we see that. Okay. Automatically, she achieved these graces of the Lord. So automatically, by serving our husbands, we will achieve the graces of the Lord. And if we don't have a husband, we should find one. Hare Krishna. May all of you who are looking for husbands be blessed with success. What are the graces of the Lord? It is stated here that the graces of the Lord are abhaya, free from fearfulness. In the material world, if someone accumulates $1 million, he is always full of fear because he's always thinking, what if the money is lost? But the benediction of the Lord, Bhagavad Prasad, is never to be lost. It is simply to be enjoyed. So once we attain this level of pure Krishna consciousness, Bhava Bhakti, then we'll never lose it. Okay. And we will be Sarva Dukkani. That means all our distresses will be destroyed. When situated in the transcendental position, one is freed from the two kinds of material distresses. So I was thinking Srila Prabhupada was going to say fear and, well, distresses. But he's saying that Sarva Dukkani means all distresses. And then he says, when situated in the transcendental position, one is freed from the two kinds of material distresses. Oh, material diseases, he says. I was reading that wrong, excuse me. Material diseases, hankering and lamenting. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita. After devotional service begins, devotional life begins, we can achieve the full result of love of Godhead. Love of Krishna is the highest perfection of Bhagavad Prasad, or divine mercy. This transcendental achievement is so greatly valuable that no material happiness can come. So again, Prabhupada tells us that Prabodhananda Saraswati said that if one achieves the grace of Lord Chaitanya, he becomes so great that he does not care a fig, even for the demigod merging into the existence of the Lord, supposedly. as hellish. And for him, the perfection of controlling the senses is as easy as anything. Why? Because he's always thinking of Krishna's senses. A pure devotee is always thinking of Krishna's pleasure. What can I give Krishna? What can I do to make Krishna feel happy or satisfied or have his tummy be full? Whatever, our rasa is, we're thinking how to satisfy Krishna. We're not thinking of our own senses. Heavenly pleasures become to him no more than stories. Actually, there is no comparison between material happiness and transcendental happiness. By the grace of Kardama Muni, Devahuti experienced actual realization simply by serving. We get a similar example in the life of Narada Muni. In his previous life, Narada was a maidservant's son. But his mother was engaged in the service of great devotees. He got the opportunity to serve the devotees, and simply by eating the remnants of their foodstuff and carrying out their orders, he became so elevated that in his next life, he became the great personality Narada. For spiritual advancement, the easiest path is to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and to serve him with heart and soul. That is the secret of success. So this is a really, really good quote to memorize. And we can start by copying it down. On my computer in Word, I have a folder called Great Quotes. And when I run into a nice quote as I'm reading, like here, I like to copy it down. For spiritual achievement, the easiest path is to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and to serve him with heart and soul. That is the secret of success. Isn't that nice? So everyone, please copy that down. As stated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasadaha. By serving or receiving the grace of the spiritual master, one receives the grace of the Supreme Lord. So again, by serving or receiving the grace of the spiritual master, one receives the grace of the Supreme Lord. By serving her devotee husband, Kardama Muni, Devahuti shared in his achievements. Hi, Lalita. Similarly, a sincere disciple, simply by serving a bona fide spiritual master, can achieve all the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master simultaneously. So nice. What a beautiful ending for that lovely transcendental story. So now we're going to switch over to Secrets of Fascinating Womanhood. Chapter 13. you know what? I forgot. This week I had a little time to make some notes for it. And now going over to Secrets, our Secrets book, the teacher, Harmony, recommends to the class, develop your spirituality by reaching out to others. So when I read that, I thought, hey, that reminds me of how Srila Prabhupada said, the mind becomes peaceful by thinking of the welfare of others. And he also gave us that phrase, paraduka dukhi. A Vaishnav is paraduka dukhi, distressed to see the suffering of others. And he knows that the highest welfare work is to give Krishna to others. We must always remember, sometimes, people may criticize us that, oh, you're too absorbed in your housewifely duties, your motherly duties. You need to do some other kinds of service, some temple service or some preaching service. So that may affect us a little bit, make us a little depressed or feel like we're not worthy or something like that. But actually, we should always remember that our life as a wife and mother is our preaching work, because we're encouraging our husband to be the best devotee that he can be. We're encouraging our children in Krishna consciousness to the best of our ability. And anyone who sees our life sees that. They see that our life is dedicated to Krishna consciousness, to helping our family members become Krishna conscious. So even that in itself is enough. But of course, if we have more time, we have more energy. Okay, sorry for the interruption, everyone. So we may have time and energy for some other type of preaching work, but if not, that's okay. Because if our life is dedicated to Krishna's service and Krishna's pleasure, our life is our preaching. So please know that, ladies, especially you ladies who are doing child worship, you're still serving your little ones, giving them breast milk and taking care of their every need at every moment. Just know that you're doing the best service that you could possibly be doing. Enjoy our woman's role. Okay, those were Harmony's words, both as a mother and as a companion to her husband. But it also Hare Krishna. So in Krishna consciousness, we understand that the way to develop our spirituality is by hearing and chanting the holy names and the glories and pastimes and the teachings of the Lord. And by sharing the Christian concept of using our talents and reaching out to others is a little bit limited as far as we're concerned. Still, the mood is, to try to please God and to serve others. So that's very nice as well. Okay, now one of the ladies in the class asked Harmony, what about when our husband mistreats us? So then Harmony said, yes, that's when we can show anger toward our husband, when he mistreats us, or when he insults us, or criticizes us unfairly, even if he overworks us or ignores us. So these are all miseries of, and Harmony is just recommended. In this chapter, we learned about childlike anger. And I thought it was a really good idea that this person who wrote this Secrets of Fascinating Womanhood book, he left this chapter for the very end because it's the most challenging principle for most ladies to implement and follow in their life, in their marriage. In fact, it was so difficult for so many of Helen Andelin's readers that later on in the 1990s, she wrote a new book. It was Fascinating Womanhood, but it's revised. And she included a chapter for women who work outside the home, because there were so many of her readers and followers who worked outside the home. So in order to give them recognition and encouragement, she talked about that in her new version of her book. And also in her chapter on childlike anger, she said in her, hard for you to practice childlike anger, then find a way to deal with your anger so that you don't keep it pent up inside. So when I read that, I thought, yes, I'm so glad that you rewrote this book so you could recognize and, give some encouragement to those ladies who are not able to act like a little small girl when they get angry. So anyway, now, what about when he mistreats us? Yes, that's when we can show anger toward our husband, when he mistreats us or when he insults us or criticizes us unfairly, even if he overworks us or ignores us. Okay, so next, this is still Harmony speaking. We cannot be happy in our marriage if we allow our husband to mistreat us or take us for granted. I'm not talking about little things. It's best to overlook those or to let them build up before speaking out. So how do we express our anger in a way that doesn't arouse our husband's anger? Let's look at how a child expresses anger, childlike anger. Cherry talks about her little girl, Tina. Quote, well, sometimes she stamps her feet and she has this cute way of folding her little arms, putting her chin, takes enough notice, she tosses her curls and stomps out of the room. glancing back to see what effect it's having. Tina's real cute when she's angry. The whole time I was reading that, I was thinking of my little granddaughter, Lalita. She acts just like that. And she has her daddy wrapped around her little finger. She does this so often, and she sounds just like this little girl, Tina. And she's very cute when she does it. Okay. This childlike way of handling anger is cute. We women find it cute. Men find it even cuter. Whether in little girls or grown-up women, it makes them want to hug us. Although some children, when they get angry, throw a tantrum and scream and yell and kick and say hurtful things, what happens then? Sorry, everyone. Just technical difficulties. Okay. But when a child or a woman expresses her anger in a cute, childlike way, it doesn't arouse the other person's anger. More importantly, when a woman expresses her anger this way, it doesn't challenge her husband's masculinity. But when still swearing, we arouse our husband's own anger. We instantly kill his affection for us. We just wither it up. Just like spraying a beautiful flower with weed killer. Why is this? Because when we direct our anger toward him in this way, we demean his authority and his masculinity. Okay, so that's really important to make a note of this. When we direct our anger toward our husband, we demean his authority and his masculinity. So we don't want to do that. He becomes defensive and tries and often succeeds in blaming us for the problem. We also fall from our pedestal in his eyes. So we must always express our anger in a feminine, non-challenging way without any harshness or ugliness. without losing our feminine charm. When you show your anger in this feminine way, you are far removed from arousing your husband's anger. In fact, the opposite occurs. He sees you as cute and fascinating. You become adorable in his eyes. You actually enhance his love for you. There are many feminine ways to let off steam without challenging our husband's masculinity. We can stamp our feet or beat our fists on his chest or put our hands on our hips and pout or fold our arms and turn our back on him with our chin in the air with a hump. Men find all these things fascinating. They feel manly and protective. We become more lovable in their eyes. When we speak, we can say things like, I'll never speak to you again. We can even call them names if we like, but make sure they are masculine names like you hard-hearted brute, or you stubborn, obstinate man, or you beast. Men don't mind those names because they enhance their masculinity. Men even smile when we call them names like these. But never, never use names that demean a man's masculinity, like useless or little man or no hoper or dumb. Those kinds of names arouse deep resentment in a man. They can I hope everyone's chanting during these pauses. This can be so serious that it's right up there with unfaithfulness in marriage. It's like your husband telling you to your face, I have never loved you. When you tell your husband how he's mistreated you, it doesn't hurt to exaggerate a little, as a child does. You can say things like, how cruel, or how mean, or what a dreadful thing to do. We must come across to our husband like an adorable and helpless child who has been cruelly mistreated. There are more reserved ways of showing anger, but quite not able to do all those things up here. There's the poor little me approach. This way of expressing our anger can be highly effective with any man. You know, the downcast eyes with our face in our hands, or whatever comes naturally to your personality. Perhaps just a quiet, oh dear. Genuine tears add greatly to all these ways of showing our anger. Genuine tears usually soften any man's heart. Don't hurt our oops, I lost my place. Oh, here it is. Rather, they increase his love for us, and they arouse in him a desire to make amends for our hurt. Now, Elsie, the elderly lady, asks, isn't it better just to be serene and keep our anger to ourselves? And Harmony says, in minor matters, Elsie, yes, we can work off mere annoyances by vigorous exercise or complaining out loud to ourselves when nobody can hear us, but even God gets angry over major things. Once strong anger has arisen, it's best to release it or diffuse it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it can settle into resentment and smolder for years. Bottle up anger and the lack of forgiveness which usually goes along with it, can lead to depression and other illnesses. So we should release our anger quickly, as little children do. They flare up, and then a few minutes later, they are serene again. It's really healthy. Men like us to be open and straightforward with them, as long as we do not challenge their masculinity or leadership. Kat spoke. I can see why we shouldn't show anger toward a man when he's failed in one of his masculine duties, but we're still going to get angry at times. How do we handle those angry feelings without criticizing him? So then Harmony answers, first of all, by forgiveness. Remember, we women have faults too. We can also use the techniques taught in secret number 5 by writing out our angry thoughts. We can work off our angry feelings by vigorous exercise. Aerobics are good, even a long brisk walk, like Srila Prabhupada used to do. Some women just need to sit in a peaceful place for about an hour. Okay, so first of all, by forgiveness, and then writing out our angry thoughts, doing some exercise. So Harmony says that it helps her if she just sits in a peaceful place for about an hour. And then, but we're all so different. One woman told me that she drives off in her car and screams with all the windows. And Kathy says, I punched the bed. Harmony says, that's okay, Kathy, just get it out. Don't bury it. When we release our anger as a child does, we're much healthier and happier. Okay, now we're going to move on to the second part of this lesson on how to handle our husband's anger when it's directed toward us. So Cherry did very well last time, so she's asking now when her daddy gets angry at her. So Cherry says, it happened last Saturday. Tina had been playing with his chess set during the week and had lost one of his pieces. John really growled at her, poor thing. Well, her little lips quivered and she looked down at her feet together and tears started to trickle down her cheeks. John couldn't stay angry with her for long. He ended up cuddling her and telling her how sorry he was for growling at her. So, thank you, Cherry, said the teacher, who looked delighted. Another perfect illustration of fascinating woman. With helplessness and vulnerability. Again, allowing our tears to show is most effective. Usually it's best to let our husband pour out all his angry feelings before we say anything. That's a tough one for me, but I'll try to learn it. But not always. Some men can say hurtful things when they're angry. And the sooner we diffuse their anger, the better. We need to decide for ourselves when it's best to speak. After all, we know our husband's best. But what if our husband is wrong, said Beth? Well, even when we're innocent, Beth, we should still hear him out. Before we say anything, we should allow all his angry feelings to come out. And that reminds me of in the earlier purports about Devahuti, Prabhupada says that even when there is some fault on the part of the husband, the wife should tolerate. So she says, even when we're innocent, we should still hear him out. That's about the same thing. Then, if we are innocent, we can softly explain the truth without embarrassing him or challenging him. Here again, let the tears come if you feel like doing so, but let him know that you understand how he made the mistake and that you don't hold it against him. That is a really nice paragraph. I want to read this again and again myself. So I'm going to highlight this. On the other hand, if we are guilty and he has a right to be angry, we must act helpless and vulnerable as a little child would, like Cherry's daughter did. This increase in love might seem strange, but love seems to need emotional interaction to develop and grow, even if it's anger. Okay, now this is a really nice little conclusion to sum up the whole book. Forgive, accept, admire. Let me highlight this instead of like that. Okay, forgive, accept, admire, comfort your husband, make him number one, allow him to fully take over the reins of leadership, then relax, free of worry, and allow your femininity to blossom. Okay, so that's the end of my notes. If anybody wants those, then Vishnu Priya can send them to you. So that's the end of our Secrets of Fascinating Womanhood series of classes. Now, if anyone would like to, I would like to announce that we're going to start reading the actual original book, Fascinating Womanhood. Now, we're not going to read the 1960s version. We're going to read the 1990s, 2000, 2007 reprinting by Bantam trade paperbacks. So you can get it on Amazon, or you can download it off the internet. Somebody posted it on Power of Inspiration group one time. So if you didn't take advantage of that and download it at that time, then perhaps somebody can update that. Download for everyone who needs a book. And then anyone who wants to join us next week, September 19th, we'll start our first Fascinating Womanhood class following the chapters in the book by Helen Andelin. So we'll be discussing the introduction next Saturday. Okay, we'll read through that. And anybody who has a copy, you're welcome to read through that. Okay, so thank you everyone who participated, and congratulations to all of you who made it to every class. I'm so proud of you. And there's no homework this week unless you would like to go back over the assignments from the previous weeks and see what you haven't done yet. You can do that. And please try to, keep these principles in mind, and at the same time, keep pure Krishna consciousness in focus so that you don't become bewildered by a materialistic book that's telling you about celestial love and all these things that are not really possible in the material world. We need to not be bewildered by these things, just to have to be practical and realistic, but learn how to apply some of these principles so that we can keep our marriage as peaceful and smooth flowing as possible. Okay, does anybody have a question or a comment or a realization or something that they experienced this past week that they'd like to share with everyone? Something I wanted to share with all of you is that on September 9th, 3 days ago, Mars went into retrograde. That means that from Earth's vantage point, it looks like Mars is going backwards, but what is actually happening is that he slowed down. So even though it looks like he stopped or he's going backwards, he's not. He's continuing forward, but from Earth's perspective, he looks like he's, behind and maybe moving back. That's called retrograde. And when a planet goes retrograde, there's nothing wrong with the planet. It's just that we focus on that planet for the time that he's in retrograde, he or she. So what we do is we look at the things that Mars rules. And Mars rules many different things: war, battles, anger, accidents, fire, blood. And so all of these elements will be prominent between September 9th and November 14th. So just be aware of your relationships with others and to not tread on others too unnecessarily, because you may cause explosive anger. We will be seeing explosive anger during this next few months. So please be watchful of that. Okay, so I thought it was very interesting that this chapter in Secrets of Fascinating Womanhood was about anger, and Mars retrograde is also all about anger, and that has just come up. So just see how Krishna is working in our lives and giving us opportunities to learn and grow. So we should pray to Krishna to teach us the lessons that we're supposed to learn during this Mars retrograde, and help us to make spiritual advancement by learning these lessons. Okay, so I wanted to share all of that with you guys. Anybody else? Anyone have a realization or an experience or a question or comment? Or something they've written in their love booklet? Okay, so let's call it an evening. And I'll see whoever wants to join next week for the Fascinating Womanhood classes. I'll see you then. Okay, until then, please let Vishnupriya know if you would like to have the notes for this week. And please stay in touch on the Power of Inspiration group. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Ma. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Ma. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Also, I want, if everyone can hear me, I would like to just give a special note of thanks to Shraddha, especially because Shraddha has been our host for all these classes. She took it upon herself, and her dear husband paid some extra money for a special license for us to be able to go longer than 20 minutes or whatever it was. So we want to thank you again, Shraddha, and your dear husband. And also we want to thank Kritika and the other devotees who worked on getting the YouTube channel set up. So thanks to all of you, and we'll see you next week. Hare Krishna.